Hello everyone, I'm here today with the game Red Cathedral. Red Cathedral is a competitive game for 1 to 4 players which plays in around an hour depending on player count. Designed by Llama Dice, the partnership of Isra and Shay, with artwork by Shema Roman and Pedro Soto, and published by Devir Games. The game is a Euro with a twist. It is an area influence game where you roll dice, but the dice act to determine where and how many resources you get. This is combined with a central rondel of choices not just for resources but also for 4 bonus actions. Players work together to build St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow. However, only one player will emerge victorious as the player with the most favor with the Tsar, Ivan the Terrible. The cathedral was completed from 1555 to 1561 in real life, and players will also try to decorate their own cathedral with ornamentations as they compete to gain the most prestige for their accomplishments. Join me as we explore how to play the game. The market board will set up in the center of the play area with space reserved for the cathedral construction site. There are 4 guilds in this game. You will be able to gain influence with each of these guilds. Shuffle each and select a card at random from each guild to go in a different corner of the market board. There is a recommended setup for your first game, and I have used that here. Next, place the 8 resource tiles, again at random, out on the market board. Roll the dice and place them next to the resource tile granting recognition points, crosses, and then follow the arrows to randomly place the next 4 dice. Shuffle the 3 decks of cathedral cards. There are bases, middle sections, and domes. Find a playing card that matches the number of players that you have in your game. Then randomly take the matching sections from each matching cathedral deck and match the layout from the building plan card. As you place cards for the cathedral, the cards should be on the construction side with the building cost shown. Every tower of the building will have at least 1 base and 1 dome. On each card, the building cost is the top box. Below that is the bonus you immediately receive once the section has been completed. After matching the cathedral cards to the building card, you may return the rest of the cathedral cards and building cards to the box. If you haven't already, you may also return any extra guild cards and the solo cards back to the box too. Take the workshop tiles, and if you have less than 3 players, take the tiles with the 3-player plus icon and put them back in the box. It looks like this. Otherwise, randomly place them face up on top of the cathedral construction site cards. Return any unused tiles to the box. Each player should choose a color and place the following in their personal supply. A personal workshop board with either the basic side or the advanced side up. If you choose the advanced side, you'll place 4 of your color banners on the rulers here. Then place 1 each of the 2 white spaces on the workshop board. The remaining 2 banners are placed outside the inventory on the basic side, but may still be used. Each player will place their 4 ornamentations on the matching spaces of their player boards. Here in the middle on the basic side, or on the advanced side, these ornamentations go in the workshop tile spaces like this. Next, place score markers, which are these double eagles, on the 2 space of the scoring track. Make sure there is a common supply of lumber, brick, stone, gold, green gems, and purple gems. If you ever see the wild icon, it is equivalent to any one of these materials. First player can be chosen in any manner you like. Then the first player gets 3 rubles. The second and third player will each take 4 rubles, and if you have a 4th player, they get 5 rubles. Gameplay proceeds in the following ways. Players take turns doing one of the following 3 actions: claim a cathedral section, build sections of the cathedral, or acquire resources from the market. Before we talk about each of those actions, let's talk about the unique scoring track. On it, you will notice there are crosses known as recognition points, and double-headed eagles, which are prestige points. Certain types of actions will give you different types of points, so it is important to pay attention to these differences. Eventually, though, later in the game, these 2 types of points become equal on the scoring track. Also, in addition to the regular 3 actions, players may choose to execute any or none of these optional 2 actions. First, the player could lose a prestige point, the eagles, in order to gain 2 rubles. When you do this, move back to the previous prestige point and gain 2 rubles from the bank. Second, choose to lose 1 prestige point in order to roll the dice from any one space on the board. Move the score marker to the previous prestige point space. Choose one of the 8 market spaces on the board and re-roll all of the dice located there. This action may only be used once per turn. There is a reminder of these 2 bonus actions plus a market action at the bottom of each player's board here. Let's take a look at the first of the 3 possible actions a player can take on their turn. Claiming a cathedral card. To claim a cathedral card, you can choose any banner from your personal board. Then, claim one available cathedral card currently on the construction side by placing their banner on top of it. Cards are available if they are on the bottom level or if there are already banners of any player that would be below it from ground level and the bases. Imagine you are building a scaffold up from the base and you need that there in order to claim a higher section. Then take the workshop tile on the claimed cathedral card and place it in any empty workshop space on their board. At this point, there are 2 choices. 1, pay the cost shown on that empty space and turn your newfound tile face up so that you receive a future benefit. Or 2, forego the cost and don't pay it. You must turn the workshop tile you just received face down. You will never be able to receive that additional benefit. If the player paid the cost to place the workshop tile face up, they immediately gain the benefit shown on it. The second action a player could take is to build on the cathedral. Each time the player takes this action, they are delivering any 3 materials to build and or decorate the cathedral. If his section has all of the required materials, it is completed and the player is awarded recognition, crosses, and possibly some rubles too. Let's take a look at how to do this. First, the player must have the materials they want to deliver in their personal inventory. Every player's inventory is limited by this ruler. Initially, players are only going to be able to store a limited amount in their inventory because of the banners. Even when all the banners have been placed, players are limited to holding 10 items in their inventory. You cannot discard materials to make more space. Building allows you to deliver materials to previously claimed building cards, thus freeing up your inventory and progressing in the game. Once a building card is built, return the materials to the general supply, gain recognition crosses, and any rubles, then flip the card over to the finish side. The player's banner remains on the card. If, in the case, a section of the building is completed with unfinished sections below it, the following will happen. The players below will be chastised by the czar by losing recognition crosses equal to the number of finished sections above. You do not have to count your own completed sections if you suffer this penalty, though. We should also talk about a unique type of building that can be very important during the game for scoring and for in-game scoring. Decorations are only available once a section has been completed and flipped over. Bases get doorways, arches go on middle sections, and crosses go on the top of the structure at the domes. Any player may install an ornamentation on any completed cathedral section. It doesn't matter who built it. It's a sneaky but useful move. Building an ornamentation is just like any other building action in that it requires the delivery of materials. You can complete a section and build an ornamentation in the same move. Just remember that you only deliver 3 goods with the basic turn action. If you build an ornamentation with 1 or 2 extra jewels, you'll also get a benefit. Just remember though, unlike a typical building delivery, in order to get the bonus, the extra jewels must be delivered on the same and not on a later turn in order to get the benefit. If you deliver 1 additional jewel, the player will get 1 additional prestige, that's eagles, or if you deliver 2 additional different jewels, the player will immediately gain 3 prestige, which is 3 eagles. This can be a huge boon early on in the third action, and this is the real heart and uniqueness of both the game in general and the individual gameplay, is to acquire resources from the market. The player will announce which market die they are using. Move that die around the rondel, following the direction of the arrows according to the value shown. Optionally, if they have chosen the white die or the die that matches their own player color, they may move it 1 additional space for each ruble they spend. A die cannot ever end its movement on a space already occupied by 3 dice. The die will land on the space, and the player will perform any market actions once in any order they choose. Then they will re-roll all dice at that location. The market actions are as follows. Obtain resources based on how many dice are at that location. Note that stone, brick, and lumber and rubles all give the player 2 of that resource for each die at the location, up to a potential windfall of 6 resources. Since inventory space is limited, the player may always choose to take less resources than given by the market space. The second market action is using influence with the guild located in the same season you are located. You may only take one of the 2 actions on a guild card. Also pay attention to whether it is a one-time use or an infinite action. If you take the infinite action, remember that you are only taking each market action once, so order of operations can be very important. Third, the player may activate a workshop tile. The bonus workshop tile will only grant a bonus for the dice it shows and not additional dice at that dice location. Again, order of operations can be very helpful here. In this particular case, I can only get this workshop benefit if I had activated the necessary white die. You could gain resources from another die, use your guild action to deliver some materials, thus freeing up space on your player board, and then gain resources you need for the next round. Just remember that each market action may only be used once per turn. Even ones with the infinite sign must be used at the right time. Gameplay will proceed in this manner, with players taking turns taking one of the 3 main actions of claiming spaces, building the sections of the cathedral, or acquiring resources from the market until one player has completed their 6th cathedral card. Once the recognition crosses, points from the card have been awarded, the player will receive 3 additional prestige points, or eagles, for bringing the game to an end. All players will move their score counters back to the closest lower prestige, or eagles, point space. The score markers do have a reverse side if you pass 40 prestige eagle points to show you are on the 40 plus side. Players will now add 1 prestige point for every 5 materials, including rubles, they return to the general supply. Next, look at each of the towers. The total value of a tower is 2 prestige eagles for every section completed, plus 1 prestige eagle for each ornamentation. If a section wasn't completed, then don't count it. Each player will count the number of banners and ornamentation of their color on the tower being scored. The player with the highest total gains the full value of that tower. The player with the second highest receives half of that score, rounded down. Third place gains half of second place, again rounded down. There's a change to scoring in a 2-player game. In a 2-player game, the player with the greater presence in a tower will get all of the points granted by that tower, and the second place player gets 1/3 of those points, rounded down. If there is ever a tie, add up the prestige eagle points for the tied players and divide evenly, rounded down. Players with no banners or ornamentation will never receive points on a tower. Players with the most prestige points win the game. If there is a tie, the player with the most completed sections wins. If there is still a tie, look at who has the most ornamentations. If there is still a tie, then the players share a victory. Let's score a tower so that we know how it works. Here, there are 5 sections to the tower, which is 10 points, plus 4 for ornamentations, which is 4 more points. Let's score a tower so that we know how it works. Here, there are 5 sections to the tower, which is 10 points, plus 4 ornamentations, which is 4 more points. Green has a total of 4, 1 banner, and 3 ornamentations. Blue has a total of 3, 2 banners, and an ornamentation. And yellow simply has 2 banners. Green will score 14 points for having the most. Blue will get half of that, 7, and yellow will receive just 3 points. In this game, every game is just a little bit different, but there aren't a whole lot of different rules to learn. Again, you are always picking one of those 3 main actions: claiming, building through delivery, or gaining resources. This creates quite a lot of interesting and different choices each time you play, which is what makes it fun. The components in the box are fine. I quite like the mix of wooden and plastic resources as you play the game. It's a nice tactile addition to what is essentially an easy-to-learn Euro-style game. The central rondelle is what I absolutely love about the game. Initially, when I saw other people's pictures of the game, I didn't think much of it. However, its table presence outshines how some people have portrayed it. Maybe that's because of the muted nature of the artwork and aesthetics of the game. The artwork is gorgeous and reminiscent of Ivan Bilibin, an artist from the late 19th and early 20th century. My favorite piece from that artist so far is probably Koshke the Deathless. This artist was influenced by traditional Russian artwork, Japanese paintings, and woodcuts. This game takes a cue from that art and the Red Cathedral itself. Getting back to gameplay though, the game feels as if you are in a time crunch of sorts to build the cathedral and please the Tsar. It works out well in its setting. The seasons have very little to do with the game though, and seem to be a way to divide the board up, and that's it. Who might not like this game? Anyone who wants their game to be completely solvable. This is a Euro, but it's on the lighter side. The game does have a small amount of randomness, but it isn't something that ever gets in the way of you taking those actions. The biggest trouble I have personally is giving up prestige points in order to gain a couple rubles if I can't get them through the resource market. However, players really do have options on every turn, and there are paths to victory that can be a little bit different each game. The other people who might not like this game are those who want an in-your-face or heavy thematic game. This game isn't that sort of thing. I've played this game with adults and children, and they both were able to understand gameplay quickly. Examples in the rulebook are excellent, but I wish the rules were laid out slightly differently, and I had a hard time focusing. This is probably a minor quibble, and due to my own personality though. I think this game will mostly appeal to those looking for a quiet night of fun decisions. If you're having a game night, it is enough of a game that it could be the main game you play even 2 or 3 times in the same night. I think this game will most appeal to those who are looking for a quiet night of fun decisions. If you're having a game night, it is enough of a game that it could be the main game you play even 2 or 3 times in the same night. I think it will mostly appeal to those who are ready to experience more than mass market games and those who have tried a lot of games. It feels refreshing and calming. Red Cathedral by Llama Dice, which is Isra and Shay, with artwork by Shemo Roman and Pedro Soto, and published by Devir Games. If you enjoyed this review, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Happy gaming, and we'll catch you later.